The bigness of Alaska makes us feel lost, the way looking up at the stars makes some of us feel like we're going insane. But it's the very bigness that seems to account for the constant bumping into ourselves that artists tend to experience here. Large surrounding spaces seem to create a kind of psychic miniaturization. When the distance between ourself and everyone else is great, the compactness of our interior becomes exaggerated, forms a solitude of expanse where we run into our own pettiness and cowardice at every turn. The material harvested from this source makes good art in the hands of the right souls.
thanking the Light Brigade for that amazing performance. I'm Diane Kaplan, President and CEO of Rasmussen Foundation. More than a decade ago, Rasmussen Foundation surveyed the field of artists and arts organizations about the best ways to guarantee that Alaska has a vibrant arts sector. The answer was nearly unanimous. Put money in the hands of artists. This performance today validates that strategy. 3 members of the Light Brigade, Beggy Kendall, Bruce Farnsworth, and Sheila Wine, are past winners of individual artist awards. We're extremely proud of our alumni and the great work they continue to make. And with that, we welcome you to the 2014 Rasmussen Foundation Individual Artist Awards. Woo! Rasmussen Foundation launched this program 11 years ago to honor the merit and significance of lives dedicated to serious artistic exploration. The awards are part of a multi-year initiative to support the culture of Alaska, the vibrancy of our communities, and art itself. As of today, the program will have awarded 338 grants totaling more than $2.7 million, all going directly to Alaska's artists. This year, 274 applications were reviewed by a highly regarded national panel of artists and arts leaders. These panelists were impressed not only with the artistry, but also by the diversity and the distinct voice of Alaskans artists. Before we get to the awards, there are a few people I'd like to recognize. From Senator Begich's staff, Claire Boersma, also Representative Garantar, and Anchorage School Superintendent Ed Graff. Thank you for being here. We're also pleased to have 2 members of the Rasmussen Foundation Board, Kathy Rasmussen and Jeff Cook. And finally, if you want to talk about this event in your social networks, please use the hashtag AKArtists. And now here to present the awards is Jason Smart, Program Officer, Rasmussen Foundation.
Thank you, Diane. It's such a thrill to be with all of you this morning as we look to honor this incredible group of artists who are receiving awards today. We'll begin this part of the program by announcing the 25 project grant recipients this year. Each recipient will receive a $7,500 award to complete a defined project over the course of this next year. We will begin with Jill Osier, a self-described vigilant poet based in Fairbanks who will be completing her first full book of poems. Jill tells us that she experiences life by translating it into poetry. Congratulations, Jill. Nicholas Bradford. Nicholas is an inspiring Anchorage-based filmmaker, will make his directorial debut with a short film about the life cycle of a raven through a first-person point of view of the raven across multiple Alaska landscapes. Congratulations, Nicholas. Everett Aythorpe is an artist based in Klawock. He will use his award to build a studio, enabling him to pursue his carving from foreign-line design work. Everett's hope is that this will not only expand his workspace, but also his creativity. Don Reardon is a novelist and soon-to-be screenwriter, as he will be adapting his award-winning novel, The Raven's Gift, for the screen. Don is based in Anchorage. Joseph Lazinski, a photographer from North Pole, will be producing a project entitled Torsos. his series of photographs of tree stumps and roots that are informed by his tour of duty in Iraq. Caroline Van Hemert from Anchorage will complete a book-length nonfiction narrative detailing the landscape, wildlife, and relationships she's encountered during a 4,000-mile human-powered trek from Puget Sound to Chukchi Sea. Jim DeGennaro is a luthier from Sitka who crafts guitars. After attending a seminar on guitar making, he will build 6 tenor guitars to give to children and young adults on South Baranof Island. Tika Anise Ballas.
The other kids would pick on me and often told me to go back to where I came from. Well, both of my parents were American and lived in the United States.
Tika plans to discover and tell the story of her father through a multidisciplinary, cross-genre composition of literary memoir, audio slideshow, and ethnographic research art documentary. Tika lives here in Anchorage. Rebecca Polson will be producing a film titled Sheldon Jackson about the now-closed Sheldon Jackson School and College. Rebecca resides in Sitka. Tracy Anna Bader is an Anchorage-based multimedia artist who will create an awareness of critical environmental issues through a body of work using discarded plastic-based food packaging. Her project will culminate in exhibitions of her work. Riva Sazama from Fairbanks is a visual artist focusing on sculpture. With her award, she will purchase welding equipment to create pieces that will be exhibited in galleries in Fairbanks and in Anchorage. Breezy Berryman. Breezy is a choreographer in Homer, and she will stage an evening of modern dance at the Homer High School Mariner Theater. This production will incorporate video images of Alaska's natural environment and infuse her interpretations of these images into kinetic movement. Jared Galanin. This award will enable Jared to create new artwork and prepare for his first solo art exhibit at the Alaska Native Arts Gallery in Anchorage in 2015. Jared hails from Sitka. Mary Virginia Stroud is a photographer who will use her award to purchase a new camera and computer, allowing her to grow as an artist and take on new challenges and opportunities. Mary is a resident of Barrow. Christelle Verart. Crystal is a composer who will complete 3 phases of Polar Suite, a set of musical compositions inspired by Alaska landscapes. Crystal calls Anchorage home. Joan Hornig is a painter who now creates ceramic sculptures. She will use her award to buy a kiln and 2 years' worth of clay, allowing for the freedom of a home-based studio. Joan lives in Fairbanks. Rob Goldberg is a Haines-based artist who has been crafting stringed instruments since 1973. He will be enlarging his studio to create spaces for apprentices so that he can pass on his knowledge to the next generation. This is Rob's second Individual Artist Award. Michael Schaefer is a spoken word artist from Fairbanks. He will be touring 12 high schools in Alaska, interpreting the 12 labors of Hercules, incorporating elements of sound design and theatrical dramatic performance. Shayla Unjum is a writer who will be completing a series of essays that reflect on the challenges arising from life in two very different cultures, the Islamic culture of Pakistan and the Western culture of the United States. Shayla lives here in Anchorage. Mike Gates is a Ketchikan photographer who will be upgrading his equipment. His photography tells stories of the buildings and people in Southeast Alaska. Amanda Compton.
For my first time and I felt awesome.
Do you have any dreams for snowboarding?
Amanda's chosen medium is radio storytelling. She will produce an hour-long radio show featuring the untold stories of unique individuals in the Alaska fishing industry. Amanda lives in Juneau. Laura Oden will be producing a video, The Pied Piper Project, a creative placemaking initiative in which musicians across town will lead Anchorage citizens to a mobile music event. The happening will be videotaped from an aerial view. Laura lives in Anchorage. Christina Cranston of Sitka will be creating Northwest Coast masks inspired by Tlingit myths and legends such as Salmon Boy and Frog Woman. Christina describes her work as strong and soft. Pedar Dalthorpe, an Anchorage-based sculptor and art educator at University of Alaska Southeast, will be participating in the 26th International Ceramic Symposium in the Czech Republic. Pedar will also create an exhibition and presentation at UAS. Not with us today is Travis Gilmore of Anchorage, and Travis will be completing a short documentary featuring intimate portraits of Alaska Native carvers and their work. So let's please give an applause to our Project Award recipients. I'm now pleased to announce the 10 Rasmussen Foundation 2014 Fellows. Each of these artists will receive an $18,000 award. Fellowships provide artists flexibility to pursue activities and opportunities to advance their creative work. For Amy Meisner, receiving this fellowship offers not only the means and affordability of time, but also the elevated inner status of artist, which she finds to be a great motivator. She plans to use this opportunity to create contemporary textile designs using traditional quilting and embroidery techniques. Amy resides in Anchorage. Arlo Hannigan.
Where the buzzards flew to the northland, running with the caribou, you never find me. I don't cruise.
Arlo will create a new subgenre of world music, working with members of the King Island community. He will produce an Alaska World folk album, emphasizing the subarctic musical landscape. In this quest, he will merge northern sound with the impassioned vocalizations and traditional drumming of King Island. Arlo is from Nome and a previous Individual Artist Award recipient. Dave Galanin is a Tlingit carver from Sitka. His experience has involved precious metals and jewelry creations. David will use this award to, in his words, take a step forward to bring his artwork to new levels. This will include a large-scale sculptures of copper rattle and a copper mask. David will then photograph and document the work and create a website to archive his projects. Ingvil Vatangutu. Ingvil is a composer and musician living in Anchorage. She'll be creating a jazz composition, Welcome to the Human Race, a collection of pieces for a contemporary ensemble exploring interpretations of the words human and race. This award will enable her to expand the size of her ensemble and allow for more composing time and rehearsals, as well as workshops with peer input. Ultimately, Ingvil will release an album as a result of this award. Mavis Moeller is a well-known in Homer for gifting her creations to the community. She will create a 30-page color booklet titled Something Has Ended, Something Has Begun to document her many interactive community art projects, namely basket sculptures woven with natural materials from the local countryside. This is Mavis's second fellowship award and third award in total. Next is George Dementif Holly.
My uncle left the room.
George of Soldotna will spend a year engaging in artistic pursuits honoring the memory of his language and song mentors who split Willow Root Reavers, an art now practiced almost exclusively by his cultural group, Deg Hitan Athabaskan. George will conduct interviews and document the split willow root baskets at the Anchorage Museum and the Fairbanks Museum of the North. Additionally, he will attend a workshop in Japan, training in the art of karatsomi. Congratulations. Cheryl Marie Riley is a contemporary artist working in a variety of visual media, currently expressed as sculpture and installations. She wants to pursue large work for large spaces and plans to exhibit in spaces beyond her immediate surroundings of Esther, Alaska, and return with insights to share with the community. Cheryl is the previous recipient of an Individual Artist Award. Michael Walsh. Michael is a home-based filmmaker who approaches his medium as a fine artist. This award will help Michael upgrade and modernize his equipment as he continues to explore and showcase contemporary artists in Alaska through monographs. Michael is well known in Alaska film and art circles, having worked with AMIPA, the Alaska State Council on the Arts, and many of Alaska's finest galleries and arts organizations. Michael is the previous recipient of an Individual Artist Award. Nicholas Galanin will use his award to realize a large solo exhibition and traveling body of work, which will eventually become a monograph publication. The work will take form through customary techniques such as wood carving, jewelry, and skin and fur sewing. Nicholas has confirmed solo shows in New Zealand, Vancouver, BC, and London. As a Galanin, he hails from Sitka. Nice work. Amy Johnson. Amy of Anchorage will make a short film that is truly global. She's formed a team that includes a sound artist in Berlin, engineers in Alaska, and a musical technician and dressmaker in Seattle, and other international media artists. Her art film will use the Alaska landscape as a metaphor to reflect the interior of our lives and will be representative of contemporary conceptual work from the state. Congratulations. And in just a moment, we're going to present our final award of this afternoon. Stand by. And now for our final presentation. Each year, Rasmussen Foundation selects one distinguished artist to receive a $40,000 award. This year's distinguished artist's works are vivid, visual, and at times visceral. Her medium of choice isn't oil, acrylic, or watercolor. She paints with words, poetic words, the kind that create indelible images in our minds for subjects as diverse as rainforests, hidden rivers, glaciers, and deserts. She even wrote a lyrical memoir about the fragile human psyche and its immense capacity for forgiveness. Her poetry has been described as iridescent, bearing exquisite beauty and purity and an entrancing meditation. Her credentials are impressive. She's a professor emerita and a lecturer who has shared her knowledge with numerous students and poets in training. And her poems have been published throughout this country and in Europe, Asia, and Australia. She was awarded a National Endowment for the Arts Fellowship in Poetry and served as the Alaska Writer Laureate. And as of today, she is Rasmussen Foundation's Distinguished Artist of 2014. Let's meet her now.
If we think of poetry as language, then poetry is the language that allows us to think and allows us to feel, and the language that is not afraid. If we think of poetry in broader terms, it's any art form that makes our world bigger, makes our world more interesting. And it doesn't have to be upbeat, it doesn't have to be soothing, it doesn't have to be, God forbid, therapeutic. What it has to be is something that enlarges the range of human perception. It has to be powerful enough so that I can go back to it and I can't exhaust it. My friend Lucille Clifton was fond of saying, "It's my job to comfort the afflicted and to afflict the comfortable." My family was coming apart. My parents were spectacularly mismatched, and that caused a whole lot of tension in the household. So I wrote because that was the one place, the page was the one place where I had any measure of control. I made up stories and songs and poems. I wrote to my great-grandmother all in rhyme, and she would write back all in rhyme. That kind of a grandmother who was self-educated, very, very intelligent, and better read than I am, gave me a notion of an ideal reader. Would she think this is authentic? Would she think this is interesting? And I want my ideal reader to be further along than I am, and to be somebody I respect deeply.
Hi, my name is Joe Usbelly. I'm Peggy Shoemaker's husband and book bearer. I don't know that there's ever such a thing as a normal day in our house. Every day is unique, and we usually wake up laughing together, and that's wonderful.
His mind is so different from mine. He's an engineer by training, a miner by trade, a pilot, a driver of fast little red cars.
She is one of the most caring and generous people that I know, and as a result of that, she makes a fantastic teacher. And she's a brilliant writer, and she's always surprising me, and that's a good thing to have in a mate.
On June 19th of 2000, Joe and I were riding our bicycles on the bike path in Fairbanks, and coming down a hill, A young man on a four-wheel ATV came around a blind corner, just speeding, screaming, and hit us.
And I turned and looked, and Peggy was lying on the ground and totally unconscious.
After surgery, when I was in the hospital, still pretty groggy, this young man brought a set of wind chime birds by way of apology. I knew intellectually that we are all going to die, but I didn't really understand how that applied to me. And all of a sudden, I recognized that it could come at any moment. I'm under a door covered with sandbags, muddy waters rising. My hips sink deeper into muck. I can't open my eyes until I know what's in this water. The weight crushing my chest grows heavier. Am I wearing armor? My lungs fill with wet concrete. There is a whole lot in this world that aims to crush us. And part of art, part of making art and sharing that art with other people involves offering solace. Yeah. So this one is a picture of my mother, Hannah Zoe Moen. She was at this moment a teenager, filled with life and the confidence that she was invincible. This one is a picture of my dad. He really wanted to ride his motorcycle and play his music and make love with as many women as he could. And he didn't want to have children, which was an unfortunate thing to discover when he had 4 of them. So I got to be present at the moment that he died and wrote this little piece. It goes like this. Beyond words, this language. The morning I was born, you held my hand. The morning you died, I held your hand. What's left to forgive? I think all of us live layered lives. We have the public lives that anybody who cares to pay attention can witness, and we have the private lives that we only share with a few people that we trust and love. And then we have the inner lives, our inner lives, and that's where most of literature takes place. I'm really interested in the inner life, in what we don't usually show to other people and what we don't usually bring up over dinner. That, to me, is the essential part of what it means to be human, and that's what interests me the most as a writer. I look both ways, outside, inside. We push off, wobbly, into the rest of our lives. Surround yourself with people who understand why it's important to create. There are in this world people who help art get made, and I'm going to venture a guess that everyone in this auditorium is one of those people. So first, a huge thank you to all of you who support and nurture and enjoy art. Because I am the only one of the awardees today who gets to speak, I'd also like to give a special thank you to those wise and sensitive people on the selection committee. So thank you to them. And I'd also like to thank Jenny Rasmussen for her vision in establishing this foundation. And I think of all the many ways that the Rasmussen family has enriched Alaska. It has allowed a great deal of art to take place. It has allowed a great deal of support to happen that would not have happened without this foundation. And thank you as well to the staff of that tremendous group. How is it possible? Yeah, thank you to the Rasmussens. How is it possible to live a creative life? I think about that a lot. And very often what people need, besides the basics of food and shelter and a little quiet time, often it requires a kind of doggedness, dogged determination. Sometimes it requires a devotion that only happens when you can't not do something. And I think that's true for a great many people who are creative in this world. They can't not dance. They have to write. They need to paint. Otherwise, they're not fit company for man nor dog. What does it mean to devote your life to art? Often it means that your kids eat a lot of rice and beans. Often it means that when you should be doing the necessary chores of everyday life, you are in another world of your own creation, and that's sometimes a trance-like world. It takes a great deal of tolerance on behalf of those who love you to allow that to happen. It involves a mindfulness that is deep, that is enduring, that is immensely pleasurable, even when you're dealing with tragic materials. It involves being aware that the range of human perception is malleable and it can enlarge, and you're trying to do that. It's very exciting. But being a creative person also means that recognition happens, if at all, sporadically. And these gifts that we've been given today, I want to say a special thank you for the recognition, yes, for the support, absolutely, but more than anything, for the statement that peers are saying, and the statement is, your work matters. That is a huge thing to have other creative people say, and we appreciate it. We are deeply grateful. It is my privilege to present to you the 2014 Rasmussen Foundation Individual Artist Award recipients.
Thank you so much for attending today and for supporting these creative artists and their many accomplishments. Our next deadline for the Individual Artist Awards program is March 1st, 2015. We will begin accepting applications again January 1. Before we move into the lobby for some refreshments and a toast for our artists, I'd like to thank some staff members, Kelly Wagner, who assisted in the application and review process, Jason Smart, who has been running our Individual Artists Awards for the last number of years, and Cassandra Stalzer and Emily Bokar, who pulled together these events. Thank you again, and please join me outside.